Hey, welcome back to another story time with Brad. This one's going to be on the bus with the man, the myth, the legend, the host of Bus Boys itself, Zach Jones. How are you, Zach?
I'm doing fine. I'm happy to be on your podcast for once. What are we going to be talking about?
Today we're going to be talking about just any experience you have going out of state, because I know you're a man who travels a lot. Actually, you travel a good bit. So let's start with you. Tell me probably what's your favorite place out of state, and we live in Kansas. So what's your favorite place to go, and for what reason? And yeah, let's just start with that.
All right. Well, I have pretty much no choice in that question. I'm going to go with San Diego, California. Go there every summer, and one of the greatest parts about going there is just the atmosphere. I mean, sure, that place is liberal, but you know, when it comes to like things to do there, I usually spend about a week or two with my cousin, and his house is literally a mansion. I'm talking 3 stories. It's got like a kitchen that's pretty much the size of like my house alone. He's got like 3 fridges. He's got a room entirely dedicated to pantries. That's like ridiculous, man. So for 2 weeks out of the year, I just get to live in heaven. And you know, that ain't so bad.
Yeah, and I just want to say one more thing about like what Zach was saying. He told me a story, like his, is it your uncle that owns the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, his uncle bought the house next to him to put another portion that he bought. Yeah. Like, who does that? Who buys a house just for the garage? Just for the garage. Like, usually some people would buy like a storage box. Nope, he bought a house for it. So,
I'm sure there was other reasons that he bought the house. Because, I mean, no normal rich person would just up and buy another house. But I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he was using, what if it's like a guest house?
It could be.
Be like, oh yeah, this is your car, by the way, your guest car. Treat it nice.
Your guest car.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. But do you have any like stories from California? Like your best story from California? What would you have to say?
Oh man, that's such a tough question. Well, you know, me and the boys, aka me and my cousin, we went to this one place called UCSD, which is the University of San Diego, and that place is one of the nicest campuses like I've ever seen in my life. It's no Pepperdine, but oh god, dude. Like we spent a week there, a week, and we had little dorms that we stayed in. And it just so happens that the dorm we were staying in had a balcony that could see out to the ocean. That is incredible. But not just that. ID Tech was all about, you know, tech. We, you know, played around on computers, did coding, we made games. I even made a new map for Fortnite. Pretty neat, if I do say so myself.
That is amazing, I remember one time you telling me about how you, was it your uncle's house that you described with the Porsches and, like, he bought the house next to him. Has that always been his house, or is that a new recent house? Like,
explain the question again, I don't
is this the same house? Like, has he ever bought another, has he lived in a different house, like a different mansion before this?
Yeah.
Okay, it was from that mansion that you told me that you could actually see Disney World, Universal Studios, and SeaWorld.
One right now that he.
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I got that completely wrong. Would you like to tell them about that and your 4th of July experience?
Oh, yeah. So, I think it was on the last night that I was there, which was none other than July 4th. We were just chilling out, you know, having a grand old time. And it reaches about 7:30, 8 p.m., and my uncle's like, hey, guys, meet me outside. There's something crazy I want to show you. So we walk outside, and from like the cul-de-sac that his house ends at, you could see Disney World, SeaWorld, and Legoland all celebrating the 4th of July at once. So it's just like, there was fireworks after fire. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's actually awesome. I would love to do that. That's something that most people don't get to do, and that you're really fortunate to be having done that. And let's talk about it was freshman year. Yeah, it was freshman year. We're about to go to school. It's like the first day of school, and something happened with you. So would you like to tell that story and how that went?
Well, this is a pretty long story, so I'm going to shorten it down a bit. But long story short, it was the end of the trip. We were all saying our goodbyes. My parents actually had left before me to go back to Kansas, and it was just me and my cousin's family. And on the day that I was docked to leave, get up super early in the morning, get out the door, get everything ready, we're blazing down the highway to get to the airport. And once we get to the airport, just this gigantic line. I'm talking like 1,000 people, man. It was insane. And so my uncle, being my uncle, walks up to this custodian and he hands him $40. He's like, take me to the front of the line. And the custodian just like kind of looks up at him, looks down at the money, nods his head, and so takes me and my uncle up to the front of the line. And I'm just there sitting patiently waiting, and I can just hear my uncle going off at this little lady who's behind the counter at United Airlines or something like that, I don't know. But what happened was the servers had been hacked. I was grounded in San Diego, which is no problem with me, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, my uncle started getting a little aggravated, and it wasn't anything too major at that point. But the lady says he can't travel because he's a minor. He's underage. He can't travel alone. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's true. And so the custodian who took us to the front of the line gave my uncle back his $40, and my uncle was generous enough to let him keep it. So we go back. We stay there for another day. I'm having chill times with the fam, and didn't think too much of it. Come back the next day, bright and early. Exact same story. I was a minor. I couldn't travel alone.
And let me remind you guys real quick before he continues. This is the first day of school. Like I am at the bus stop waiting for Zach to show up, and I didn't know that he was grounded because at this point he didn't have a phone, so he couldn't text me and be like, hey, I'm gonna miss the first day of school because I'm grounded in San Diego. Like I didn't know.
Okay,
but
this is where
in this Zach, you continue. Apparently I'm getting something wrong. Explain.
This had been proceeding actually several days before school had started. And so after that whole exchange the second day, the lady behind the counter says I'm going to have to wait 3 days before I can come back. And I'm taking a look at my schedule, and it says 3 days until school. And I'm just like, I had no idea what I was going to do, man. It's crazy. And so, blah, 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 3 days passes, and we come back for the third time. And the lady behind the counter was about to give the same story, but my uncle just like called up his boys, because he is in fact a Delta Diamond member. He goes flying so often with them that like they think he's like the cool guy on the street. Don't get me wrong, he is the cool guy on the street. It's just like how crazy Diamond Delta like gets you as far as privileges go. So with those privileges, he was able to get me home in time. He got me on a flight that it was just a little bit longer than anticipated, but it was a flight nonetheless. So with that, I got home. It was April 26th at that time, the day before school started.
Yeah.
So pretty much, I had to hit the ground running. I was used to sleeping in 2 hours differently from what Kansas time was, and so it was a time to be had.
Oh yes. We had just gotten off spring break. It was insane. Zach came back for the first day. You said it was like April, right?
Not April.
Did you mean
August,
April or August? Okay.
Sorry. Oh, God.
I'm getting some stuff mixed up. August 26th. Yeah, it was insane. He barely made it back, but it was a great story to tell. Before we go, tell them how you were flying back. Just tell them how many strings your uncle pulled and how you were flying back. Just give them a little taste, a little taste.
Oh yeah. Well, with the privileges of Diamond Delta, well, since my uncle had it, which meant I also inherited those privileges. So not only did I get first class seats, I also got first class food. And that stuff was crazy, man. Like I did not think that they made that kind of stuff on an airplane. Like gourmet hamburgers, gourmet steak burgers, gourmet hot dogs? I don't know. There's a whole lot of things on their menu. Infinite refills, infinite Wi-Fi, infinite electronics, free plugins that you could charge your electronics. They had it all, man. It was ridiculous.
That is amazing. That's amazing. Well, we're about out of time here, but Zach, thank you for joining us on this podcast, and I'll be telling how I went out of state and all my stories on his podcast. So go check that out. It's Bus Boys. Where can they find that? I know your brother did something with our podcast. Where can they find that?
They can find it on YouTube. They can find it on Twitch. Probably not. I don't know. You can find it in the podcasts app, I believe, on Apple products.
If they have an Android, did they put it on like Google Play?
I have no idea. My brother's a weird guy. He probably did that.
All right, so there's that. Zach again, thanks for joining you. Thanks for joining me, sorry. It was amazing. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.